Mm-hmm.
Going live now.
Go now?
So that we can get them back on. This is going to be part 2. Find a face to orientate.
Part 2?
Yeah, I haven't said it yet.
Oh, okay.
I'll say that later.
How you doing?
Good, sir. How are you?
Wonderful.
Awesome sauce.
Yes.
This is
This is a great night.
this is wonderful.
It is.
It is wonderful.
Yeah, every week we have somebody new. We've had a couple of doctors, and
Oh, that's good.
in fact, we've had 3 in a row. And they
Wow.
all basically say the same thing.
What's that?
They,
Yeah,
What do they say?
COVID was a joke.
we all know that.
That
Yeah.
you could take over-the-counter stuff, and you wouldn't have to take all these shots. You know, because people are having long effects from COVID
Guys,
shots.
we're going to
Because
part 2.
all Pfizer and Moderna wanted was this. They didn't care.
No, that's not all they wanted.
This is going to be a question.
You want to know what else they wanted?
Oh, yeah.
They wanted you to die.
I need
Yeah,
my.
that too.
I need my.
Sure.
Oh, give me my bag. Oh, I gotta stop shivering.
Mm-hmm.
So this is your home church?
Yeah, it is.
Great, great.
What are we doing?
2 minutes.
All right,
before
let's
it's
get in
back
there.
out. 2 minutes.
Okay.
Before
It's the question and
Question and
answer.
answer.
Oh, question and answer. I've already done the question and answer in the other room.
gotcha.
He's a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be part 2. We're going to have question and answer.
Mm-hmm.
Should have said this guy was endorsed by Flynn, but he was
Well,
he just was talking about our flags out there in Kentucky. I said, he said, I'm from Chicago. I was born there. He said, well, you went the right way. You came here over there. Okay, can you take that?
I don't know. I wouldn't take food into a sanctuary.
Okay. See, I wanted
You
something
could
soft.
go.
Okay, here. I am.
You're live now.
I'm live. Come on, you're gonna miss it. Wrap that up and take it. No.
I'm a chef. I'm sharing. You can go save me a seat.
I'll try to remember. Hi. Okay, guys. Going in through the door. Excuse me. Been great, huh?
It's and just sit crisscross.
Is that not all taken, is it? No.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start right now. We have this very, very special treat for you. We have this music video we're going to show you, and I think you might recognize some very important things about it. So let's get that started. Gentlemen in the back, drop the house lights, drop the stage lights, and play the video.
Okay, they're going to have a question and answer time.
Oh, I would risk it all. I knew you before you could grow. When everything started to fall, oh, I was always right here. I knew that you would be everything and more than me. Any mountain that you couldn't reach, oh, I would help you climb there. Every day I would pray, 'cause the times were harder. Darkness pervaded, but our love was stronger. Knowing the worst comes to us, I would take the fall. Oh, oh, I would do anything for you, because I love you more than you'll ever know. I would do anything for you. They can take my life, but you'll always have my soul. I'll do anything for you. For you, for you. For you, for you. For you, for you. I only had my faith when every wall started to cave. Was sitting there counting the days that I might have to leave here. But then I saw your face. I knew I was in the right place. Was tired of running away. I knew I would never leave you. Every day I would pray, 'cause the times were harder. Darkness pervaded, but our love was stronger. Knowing the worst comes to us, I would take the fall. Oh, oh, I would do anything for you, because I love you more than you'll ever know. I would do anything for you. They can take my life, but you'll always have my soul. I'll do anything for you. So don't you ever think I would ever let this darkness breach us. I pray, Almighty God, don't you let them break this bond. I would do anything for you, because I love you more than you ever know. I would do anything for you. They can take my life, but you'll always have my soul. I'll do anything for you.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, courage comes in many forms. And one of the reasons we're going out and doing this is because we want to meet and understand how courageous people act. This gentleman right here who sang the song, Jimmy Levy, you guys heard that show, The Voice? Yeah? He won The Voice. And he was given this contract, this musical contract, which you would think would be the pinnacle of anybody's career, right? They're getting started, getting discovered. But in that contract, it said he couldn't mention God. So he used courage and said, keep the contract. I'm going to stay with God. That's America, everybody. We're going to go to the Q&A right now. I'm going to ask a few questions of each of our panelists here. To the far right, we have Jesse Benall. Give him a round of applause. You saw him in the film. To the left, we have Doc Pete Chambers right here. Give him a round of applause. Local favorite. Then we've got Scott Wiper, filmmaker. And, of course, General Flynn. Turn up my mic just a little bit. This is a raucous crowd here. I want to make sure I can be heard. Let's go to Jesse first. Musical microphones. Jesse, in this movie, you take up the mantle. You are the guy who stands there with the shield to protect against the DOJ, to protect against the weaponization of law, to protect against lawfare. How weaponized is it?
Oh, I think it's not very weaponized anymore. I think after this case, it all got settled, right? We have never dealt with anything like what we're dealing with right now, where it's Stalinist tactics, quite frankly, from the Department of Justice and from other politicized prosecutors' offices in this country. But let me talk to you about something that's also even more scary, and that's the politicalization of the judiciary. You have a judge right now in New York who donated money to Joe Biden, whose daughter is making millions of dollars on a case and has refused to recuse himself. You have the judge in General Flynn's case who actually started litigating against the defendant. He took, and after the DC Circuit said we were right and he had to dismiss the case, the judge went to the full DC Circuit and said, I want the entire DC Circuit to review it. Unheard of, never happened. And they still, DC Circuit still said he didn't have to recuse himself. Now let's look what happens to good judges. People like Clarence Thomas, people like Sam Alito. Do you guys realize that right now what the big controversy about Sam Alito is that at his beach house, he had the gall to fly an appeal to heaven flag. A flag associated with the American Revolution and our founders. They're saying makes him an extremist because it's an American flag. Judges are supposed to be the gatekeepers. Judges are supposed to make sure that prosecutors, the outrageous prosecutors in General Flynn's case, the outrageous prosecutors in the cases against President Trump right now, are held to account. And they are taking off their robes and putting on just, at that point, it's not a judicial robe, it's a bad black dress, is the way that I put it. Because when they put on a judicial robe, it's supposed to be symbolic of putting aside their own personality, their own beliefs, their own political positions, and they speak for justice. They speak for American law and order. And you have judges that are instead now pursuing their political agendas through the judiciary. And as long as that happens, these out-of-control prosecutors that we're seeing right now, Merrick Garland's Department of Justice that is very happy to send protesters that are Trump supporters away for decades. And then if you're a Hamas supporter who punches a Capitol Police officer, you get 48 hours of community service. Punches the same exact police force that was at issue in January 6th. You get 48 hours of community service. Those people will never be held to account as long as we also have these judges that are being politicized. And none of this will be fixed until we have accountability, until we can finally take and realize these are prosecutors and judges that are violating civil rights in the color of law. It is a federal offense, and it must be prosecuted because the Department of Justice will never police its own. We have to make sure that when President Trump is elected, and he better be elected, this time there will be accountability.
Amen. Give him a round of applause, everybody. Okay, pass that microphone down to Doc Pete Chambers. Doc Chambers.
Sir.
Local boy done well. I'm over here.
There we go.
Give him a round of applause. He's a good man. I'm going to throw one to you. Doc Chambers, military officer, Green Beret, also doing great things on our border. Speaking of the border, have you seen any corruption, government corruption down there that is akin to what you've seen in this film? If so, tell us about it.
I would love to tell you about it, sir. So what we have here is a failure to communicate. Famous movie, right? Cool Hand Luke?
Yeah.
That's right. And what I saw happened after coming in the Army in 1983 under Ronald Reagan as an E1, and then serving and taking a little break in service, became a doctor. That lets you do a lot of things when you're in the Army. And came back as a doc, 9/11. I said, well, I'm not going to be a cosmetic surgeon now. I'm going to go be a guy that does plumbing on the battlefield, stopping bleeding. I've got some of my friends here that I serve with. Ramadi right there, that Marine. I respect that man. And I've put too many soldiers in a body bag and sent them home in a dignified transfer, not to know what leadership is supposed to look like or how it looks like when it's wrong. And what I saw when I said to a general on the border, unlike this general, a morally corrupt general, and this colonel, retired, was there with me in the room. Sir, that's an unlawful order. What do you mean? Well, he was wanting me to recuse myself and not do informed consents and saying, we just got to get the numbers up. We don't have enough shots. It's looking bad for the state of Texas. That's an unlawful order.
Right.
We know the results of that. There's
That's
a thing called
right.
My Lai in Vietnam.
That's right.
We know the results of that. And the results of that result in deaths. Now, this isn't a talk about shots. This is a talk about moral injury that has turned into corruption in our military.
Yeah.
We've got to turn that around.
Hi, Debbie.
That's why we're here.
Hallelujah.
I got out of the military. I went out Alex Jones. He was just down the road, Dripping Springs. And then defeat the mandate and all these other things that we got to get the information out. But we also have to tell the citizens of this country the truth. And that's what we do. That's what this is all about.
Yep.
At a cost. Because when you tell the truth, there's a cost. And my Lord and Savior, there was a cost. And that's who I go by. I wasn't red pilled. I wasn't red pilled, I was red lettered. There's certain letters in the book that's red.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what that is. It's pretty simple. It's pretty
That's
simple.
being read. Yes.
That's all I have to say about that.
I'm a red.
Thank you. The one and only Doc P. Chambers. Okay, Scott, since you're holding the hammer there, my friend, you are a filmmaker. I'm over here. Trying not to stand in front of you guys. We were in Wichita, Kansas, and I was standing in front of a lady who was up in her years. She punched me in the butt and said, "Get out of the way." Like I wasn't working. So, Scott,
You're out of the
you've
way.
made this film. You've made films before. This is the first documentary. Now that you have made this film, especially of this subject, and you come from Hollywood, which a lot of people think is not friendly to the subject, how has the pushback been, and how popular has the film become?
Couple questions there. Film's doing great, and I say that with
Or go to their website.
reservation because the job has just begun. Those that we've gathered here, those that have driven an hour or two to come to an event like this, now you're part of the team. Because if 10, 20, 150 million people watch this film, it's not enough.
No.
And I've talked to a lot of you beforehand, and so I'm not really a movie person. I'm not a movie person much either. I've watched one movie in the past year. It's called Flynn. But I know about movie culture, and movie people are like, you gotta watch this movie, you gotta watch this movie. Get it tonight, it's on Netflix. Well, we all have to be like that. Because in my extended family, I have one brother-in-law who thinks like I do, right? Or thinks like the general does. The rest of it, I have to convert a whole family. But we have to look at the country like that. And the General Flynn story wakes up so many people on different issues.
Yes.
because it has all these themes in it. It's not just the FBI, it's not just the DOJ. It's understanding that the media lies,
Mainstream media.
right? Because then people, so to your question about Hollywood, Hollywood is a microcosm for our society, right? The medical industry, DC, banking, and those people that are deep inside those microcosms, they've been
Sorry.
programmed for decades. So it takes time. So what I'm seeing is people, what they may have come back and said, chip, 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 like a chihuahua, they're thinking. And this process takes patience. But it's that we all have to push and keep telling the General Flynn story, because it will be a key factor in waking up this nation.
Yes. Yes. Okay, everybody, I have one more question. It's going to be for General Flynn here in a second. Then we're going to go to the audience. We've got people in the aisles that are going to come around. I'll be in the center. I'll have the microphone. We'll let you ask a question. But here's the rules. Tonight's questions are about the film, not about the Illuminati, not about the Anunnaki, not about secret military programs in Antarctica,
Oh, shucks, I'm gone.
not about space aliens, not about boxers or briefs, but the film, please. The film.
We've had all of them.
We've had all of them.
I can believe it.
General Flynn, very serious question I've never asked you before, and tonight's the night. When you were talking in the film, you allude to doing this audit. And this audit is the thing that appears to have put a target on your back. Is there anything, recap that audit, and is there anything about that audit that might have scared you? And if so, who would have been implicated?
Wow. There was nothing about it
Guys, would hit the share button.
that made me fear anything.
This is awesome.
What I was, if you remember in the film where I said, we were with some people, I said that people that were the top in the CIA, and then they sent a bunch of others later on when we were in the White House. What I was looking at was some of the most sensitive programs that the United States government has, that many of them I was aware of because in my previous role as the director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, which is one of the largest intel agencies in the world, so I was aware of some of them. But now I'm responsible for all of them. And so I wanted to see them all, and I wanted to check under the rug, check under the hood, because I knew in the things that I was responsible for when I was in the service, right, in the military, running an organization, I was always fighting the bureaucracy about how corrupt these things are. And frankly, many of them, there's a budget that nobody ever sees in our country, okay, but a few people. And they call it, the black budget or the intel budget.
Yeah.
And only a very few people see it. I mean, literally, I can count them on my two hands. I don't even need to use my toes, okay? And there are other parts of that only the President of the United States can approve or eliminate, because those are things that a president has said yes to, and these go way, way back, and I'm talking way back, like decades. And I'm aware of these, and I know what these are. So that was the beginning. That was the beginning of my putting the sort of the intelligence community and this security state, which is more than the intelligence community. There's many more aspects to it. That was the beginning of putting them on notice that I was personally going to dig into things that I knew a lot about, and there's an awful lot of money, and I'm talking about, money that's unimaginable to most nation states on the planet. Okay, I'm not talking about unimaginable to people. I'm talking about unimaginable amounts of money to most nations on the planet. Okay, that are, and like I say in the movie, they're useless and they're corrupt. And the people that are involved in them, that know what they're, they don't necessarily know what the beginning was, but they're benefiting from them, okay? And And that's unless you're in that seat, you really, like, I would love to be able to say, okay, we got to do this, this, and this right now. But unless you're in that seat, because the sensitivity of some of these things, it could damage the national security of this country. So you got to do it really smartly. You got to really make sure that you do the things correctly. And you've got to look at it lawfully. You've got to look at it ethically. You got to look at it morally. And we're violating all of those. Okay? This country is in violation, gross violation of all three of those things right now. And it has to end. It has to absolutely end. The only way that you can end it is by making sure that you have, the right people in the right places, and then you have to have the guts and the courage to be able to withstand the body blows that you're going to take. Yep. So they had to get me out of there. And I mean as fast as they could. It just hasn't. It doesn't happen like that, folks. The way that I was undercut, really? And in the film you saw Michael, when we were in the walled room together, and Michael went to that 5 January 2017 meeting, and I keep harping on this because all of the people that were in that meeting, 5 January 2017, that's the day the coup began. Okay? That's the day Barack Obama, they talked about 2 more people. Okay? In that meeting, in the Oval Office, with all of the people that are still in play. Okay, and many of them are in they're dealing with, what is going on with President Trump right now. So all these people, Comey's one of them. Comey's been out in the last 24 hours. So if you pay real close attention to the kinds of things that I pay attention to, Comey's out there. They got him out in public again. And you have to ask yourself why. Because they know that they're so afraid of Trump becoming the president of the United States again. And God forbid if I get back in there. So that meeting is very important. That meeting, and if you can read all the Durham report, the evidence that came out of my case, that meeting was to undermine, it's treasonous, but to undermine a duly elected president of the United States. And in that meeting, they basically said, we got to get this guy out of there as fast as we can. What do we got? Okay, what do we got? And they had closed the investigation on me because they couldn't find an unpaid parking ticket. Okay? And they had just closed the case like a couple of days prior. Couldn't find an unpaid parking ticket. And they said, well, let's come up. Biden's the one that said, let's do the Logan Act. And then they started digging into all this, anything, like make something up, get our cronies in the media to destroy this person. My name was unmasked. Yeah. I don't know, Ivan, you have the numbers. I don't know what my name was unmasked like 50 something times, right? 39 times. It was unmasked by like the Assistant Secretary of the Treasury. It was unmasked by an ambassador over in Europe. I was in the intelligence community for my entire career. And I was in all kinds of operations where I had plenty of times if I wanted to do that. In my entire career, I unmasked one name. And these people are unmasking my name, and they have no business doing this at all.
That's right.
So they're unmasking because what they wanted to do was they wanted to plant all of these, these seeds out in into their false media to be able to just destroy any part of who I was.
Where we go when
because they couldn't do it by finding some dirt on me because there was no dirt. So they had to do it another way, and they did it. They did a good job because in the media, it's actually a masterful piece of work on their part, and they did it. And there's so much other stuff that Scott, when he talks about creating this film, he talks about it's not about what you put into it. It's the art of omission. What do you take out? Because there's over 100 hours of stuff. Anybody that gets the DVD, you're going to get a bunch of stuff on that DVD that there's additional information. And here we are. Now, if I reflect on who we are as a faith-based nation, maybe, like I have to believe that there's a purpose for everything. If I don't, I'd go crazy. Okay?
That's right.
So I believe that there is a purpose for why we're going through this pain in this country right now. It is to remind us that we have forgotten about where we have come from and what is most important, in the life of this country. And the most important thing is the faith of the foundation that we were created upon. That's right. That comes from one entity, right? And it's not to say that I'm going to wear it on my sleeve. It's to just say that, look, we are in this moral decline. And it's real. It's undeniable.
Yes.
And it's because we've allowed ourselves. Now, maybe nobody in this audience, but I know that we're live streaming here, and that's really what this is about. I mean, if we don't shore ourselves up and we don't remind ourselves about what's truly important in life, if you don't answer the question, what are you willing to fight for? This is really the big question that I get out of this film. As many times as I've watched it, it's like, it reminds me of what I am willing to fight for, what I was always willing to fight for. This is just a reminder to me that, am I still able to do that? Am I still willing to do that? And the answer that I say to myself is absolutely. And now you walk away from here, you go back home, you reflect on what you saw, you share this as Scott's talking about, we share this with other people. And the big message is when you see something like this, it's like, I just can't believe that that the level of corruption in this country is this deep. And as Jesse said, it hasn't gotten any better.
No.
Okay? So that means that we don't have enough people still standing up fighting for this country.
That's right.
Okay? And it doesn't mean those in uniform. It's all of us.
That's right.
Okay, people come up to me all the time and talk to me about how they're thankful for my service. And I'm humbled by that. But what I do is I politely say, how are you serving?
We the people.
There you go, right?
That's
How
right.
are you serving? And you get out there and you serve you serve your community, you serve your family, you serve your faith, you serve this country. All of us have to do that now.
Yes.
So,
yes.
just I want you to reflect on that and remember that. So I don't know where you are, Boone, where you are, and I'll throw it back to you, buddy.
What do you guys think about that answer?
Yeah.
Hottest thing you've seen ever. Okay, now we're going to go to some audience questions to the left and right. You can see Tyler over there. You can see Dale over here. If you got a question, raise your hand. Move to the edge of the aisle. Right up here, we got a nice person right here. Grab that person there. Tyler, go right there to that microphone he's got for you. Sir, what's your name? What city are you from?
My name is Al Salazar, and I'm here local. I live about 5 minutes down the street.
And what's your question about the film, sir?
My question is for the general. I appreciate your service, sir. Knowing once 47 gets back in office, you kind of already answered my question that if asked, you would definitely get in there and help drain our swamp. My question is, what President Trump knows now, what he didn't know then, using the presidential power to place up to 3,500 employees on day one, would 3,500 employees across the board in all these administrations, true MAGA patriots, be enough to help turn this country around? And I just want to say that I believe that this period of time, God is exposing all the darkness.
That's right.
To turn this country around.
That's right.
Yeah. And then, so the number that he's asked about, so 3,500, that's usually, new president comes in, you got to hire between 3,000 and 4,000 new political appointees. As far as I'm concerned, I would just want like 300. Okay? And I'd pick the toughest 300 SOBs.
There you go.
And I would say, here you go. Go to town.
I think we got 300 in here. How about you guys?
And give them the authority vested in the President of the United States, with certain limits.
Don't share this.
Instead of 3,000 who 90% of them are rear end kissers, okay? I'm serious. Serious. You don't need that many.
That's right.
You don't need that many. You just need the right people.
Right.
And like I tell audiences, maybe I don't impact everybody in here, but if I impact just one, you might be the one. So Because I will tell you, I'm up to my eyeballs right now with people that call me up and they go, well, I'm looking to get this job, or I'm looking to get that job. And I'm like, I'm looking to make sure this man doesn't go to jail.
Right.
Okay?
Thank you.
So I focus on, I can think strategically, but I'm fighting this battle right now, right here in front of me. And we have to fight this battle. When we get to that point, if all the people that want to come in, you show them the door, you show them the exit. You don't want them. Okay, you want people that are standing there going, that are not like going, oh, pick me,
Right.
or here's some money, I want an ambassadorship.
Right.
So what happens? Okay, this is what happens. So I'm serious. I mean, I cut that 3,000 down to 300 and find the toughest 300 that I could find, period.
All right. Over there, Dave, you got a gentleman there. Sir, what's your name? What city are you from?
Name's Eddie. I'm from Texas. I don't claim a city.
Texas. What's your question, Eddie?
It's kind of a two-part. One, you got hemmed up at Mar-a-Lago with President Trump with the Japan and you laying everything out. Who'd you piss off, or who found out about that? And second, on that happening, is that the same thing that's happening to our border right now, that they're digging in where they shouldn't be? Is that not the same step of treason again that they did to you, that they're doing to us now?
I can't get them all, Will.
Yeah, let me see if and I showed it, and we talked about it in the movie. I mean, the four people in that really critical meeting where they were talking about me, and then the phone call between myself and Reince Priebus, and that's been outlined so many times. One other thing that I think we probably filmed this, but the night that I left the White House, that's the last time that I've heard from Mike Pence.
I wonder.
The night I left the White House, okay, and I thought that when Trump called me up and he did in that phone call when we were talking about the pardon, he also was really apologetic and just said, hey, I'm really sorry what you guys went through and all that. I've never heard from Mike Pence. I mean, I would have thought the next phone call I got would be from the Vice President of the United States to say, hey, Mike, I'm so sorry what you and your family endured. It was totally unnecessary. It was the entire thing was based on a lie, and they all know that. They knew it. They knew it even early on. That's why the early pardon that that Trump offered. Never to this day, and that's why that's sort of one of the examples. And I don't talk about that much because it sounds like I'm being vindictive. But this is why when I talk about faith means something to me. Really means something to me.
Yes.
And it's forgiving. And I'm not a vindictive person. I'm a forgiving person. I love people. But when I think about these folks that are out there, these high-profile people, in this case a vice president, but there's others that float around this country and they go to these places and they talk about their faith and they recite some Bible, some verse from the Bible, like they're whatever. I mean, I just find that I find such a level of phoniness, and to me it's like, and there's something wrong with that, and there's something wrong with that person, and so there's a lot of that in our country today. There's a lot of that in the church today. A lot of that in pastors today.
Yeah. Right,
So
you're right.
anyway, and then the other part was the border. I mean, I just saw a thing here, and Pete knows this. I mean, I just saw this last 24 hours. They had this other report about a whole bunch of another group of mostly Muslims in California that they just, basically saw coming in, and they're being allowed in. And I'm talking like hundreds of military-age Muslim men. And this is in California, but this is happening. And it's not, folks, it's not a border problem. It ain't a border problem. It is a national problem. The illegals are everywhere. They're everywhere in this country. The border is like a sieve now. It's like ridiculous. It's insane. But the illegal problem that we have in this country, it will destroy the culture of our country, if we don't get this, if we don't get the right leadership back in charge of this country, and then we put some really sharp brains together and a lot of muscle, and we really do take action to try to fix this a little bit, then we're not going to have a country here.
You're right.
We won't have a country. It's not a matter of not having a border. You don't have a country. I mean, right now the fabric of our nation, this quilt, this patchwork called the United States of America, is just being ripped to shreds by this administration, allowing all these illegals in, and a lot of them are military-age men. There's over 100,000 military-age Chinese in this country that have been let in the last 3 years. Just Chinese. That's an infantry division is 10,000.
Wow.
Okay, there's over 100,000. That's 10 infantry divisions of military-age Chinese. Never mind all of the prisons that were let out of Venezuela, or all these Muslims that are coming into this country. Okay, and you know, so all the live streamers that are giving me all the hate right now, you know, go read my book, Field of Fight, that I wrote 8 or 9 years ago. And the name of the book is Field of Fight, How to Win the War Against Radical Islam and Its Allies. Okay? I wrote a book on it. And that was right after I came out of the military, after fighting these in some cases, these animals. I posted, if you go to my on X, I posted this thing because it's so disgusting. And it's on the 7th of October. There's 5 teenage girls, and this video leaked out apparently in the last 24 hours. 5 teenage girls that were kidnapped by these Hamas people that these college campuses are all praising. 5 teenage girls that were brutally raped, still alive. And so it's like, this is one of these things where, and it says, you know, sensitive material. But we need to see this.
Yes.
People need to see this stuff. Yes. You know, I used to make people watch the Nick Berg beheading. Okay? For those that do remember that. They videotaped it because they love to videotape death.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And there is a death cult in this country too. I mean, the left in this country, they promote death. But I would make people that weren't part of the fight, I made them watch this thing because I'd say, this is what we're up against. Now I will tell you, there was 4 men in that particular video. And we ended up killing 3 of them, and we captured the 4th one. Because we made it among all the other stuff that we were doing, it was so disgusting and so grotesque, it's so brutal, so inhumane. And the group of us said, we're going to go out, we are not going to allow these people to live. And so we gave us, but this is like, that's an example though of us, all of us. We have to face the reality of what is possible in human behavior. And when I say that there's evil on earth, I've seen it. Yep. Okay? Up close and too personal. And we have to, so all this business about the border and what's going on, these people, as far as I'm concerned, this administration is committing treason by destroying the country. Absolutely. They're destroying it. Absolutely. I don't know how else to say it.
Amen. There we go. Pastor Troy, could you come up here and join General Flynn on the stage? Please come on up here. Right here. Tyler, could you please go over and bring the microphone to this young lady? Ma'am? What's your name? What city are you from?
It's Lee Marshall, and I'm from
Can't hear her.
Up in Allen.
Up in Allen. Yep. What's your question about the film, ma'am?
General Flynn, you've probably heard already that they're blasting you about the mysteries of why you appear to be having this tour and this movie, and are you trying to undermine President Trump running for president? And I thought, oh my, they're starting the next round. Have you heard that yet?
I hear everything.
I hear everything. Yeah.
Do you have any answers to that?
This is so exhausting, okay? It is so exhausting. And the last thing that I want to do, the last thing that I wanted to do after serving this country for 3.5 decades, 5 years in combat, was to go through the absolute, excuse my Irish here, Pastor, the absolute bullshit that I went through, okay? And the last thing that I want to do is go back into the government. But you know what? I was born on an Army base. All I know is service to country. My father's a retired sergeant from the Army, World War II and Korea vet. My entire family is a family of service, going back to my grandfathers who served in World War I. And one of them served in both World War I and World War II. A brother who served in the Vietnam era. I have a brother that's still serving. My other son is serving. So all this nonsense. Be very careful what you listen to and how you discern. Okay, discernment. I've learned a lot about discernment. Okay? Now, do I think that I can get in and help him? You damn right I can.
Yeah.
You damn right I can.
Yes,
So, all the, whatever you're listening to, just turn it off. Turn it off.
thank you.
Give her the mic, say it again.
The crazy part is it wasn't one of the crazy outlets. It was
Which one? I'll tell you. I've probably been on it.
I don't know, like a good radio station that is freedom-minded. So I was kind of surprised.
Yeah. Be careful. Be careful what you listen to. I'm serious. I mean, George Soros just bought up like the majority of Hispanic radio stations in this country.
Think about those things.
If a media outlet does not allow you to talk about the potential for election fraud in this country, okay, and they're quote unquote conservative, and they are cable news, and it begins with the letter F, okay, and many of you probably watch it still, right?
No.
Well, that's good. And they're declining after they lost Tucker. That's one of the reasons why Tucker was dismissed from Fox. Oh, did I say it? I said it.
You said the F word in church. You heard it right there.
And that's a conservative network. So anyway, sorry.
Last question over there to Dale. Ma'am, what's your name? What city you from?
Hi, my name is Linda, and I'm from the state of Ohio right now, but I had lived in Texas for 30 years.
There you go. What's your question about the film, ma'am?
I have two questions, actually. I'm asking for a friend that was here last night and didn't have the opportunity to ask. And that's, you've identified sort of a network of people that are involved, but have you, and you don't have to tell us who or what the organization is, but no, you don't have to call them out right now, but just, I know I'll sleep better if I know you know who's at the top of it all. Is there somebody up there that when you're in, you'll be able to address that? That's a question for a friend.
Read session 1 and you'll have the answer to that question.
You're asking so who's in charge of Uncle Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Obama came out today. He came out today because he does a dog whistle. He's a very effective dog whistler. Okay? So he came out today and he talked about the judgeships that Biden has, the judges that Biden has chosen, how wonderful these judges are. You just heard Jesse talking about the judiciary. Yeah. It's rampant. Most people don't even remember in my case, I had a judge, the first judge I had in my case was there for only 1 week. And after the first, so I pled guilty a week later, and I'm like, I'm going through this madness. A week later, that judge had to recuse himself. Why? You know the name Peter Strzok? Yeah, well, they found text messages between Peter Strzok and his lover, Lisa Page, who was the #2 lawyer at the FBI, talking about, this is great, we got the right judge against me. Contreras was his name. Okay? He had to recuse himself. And at least he recused himself. He's still there. At least he recused himself. The reason why is because in that little text messages, it essentially said, yeah, we've been to some barbecues together. We do some stuff, it's like backyard buddies. FBI and judges. It's horrible, and that tone was set for many leaders from really going back to Louis Freeh, who I know. Okay? Robert Mueller. Jim Comey.
We're going to read the book and get more detail, right?
Director Ray. So I'm just giving you some of the names. okay? And there are other people that are still serving. The Director of National Intelligence, the Deputy Attorney General, people sitting inside the White House, the Deputy Secretary of Defense, okay? You go look up some of these people, and you look at their backgrounds, and you say, that person has no business being in that job, and so why are they there? They're there to create this overarching culture of this notion of socialism, that we were going to impose socialism here in the United States of America. And socialism is actually too kind. It's being too kind. It's communism.
Yes.
Okay? I mean, that's what so with American characteristics, like they say China is a communist country with Chinese characteristics. Russia's a communist country with Russian characteristics. Okay? So America, this is what they want. And there's this body of globalists, starting there with the World Economic Forum that started up in 1973 between a guy named Klaus Schwab and Henry Kissinger. Okay? Now I'm trying to start the rumor, where's the live stream? I'm starting to start the rumor that because Klaus Schwab, I heard last week, wasn't feeling too well. And he took ill, and we haven't heard from him or seen from him since he took ill. And then I heard yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, that he has stepped down from the World Economic Forum.
Yeah.
So maybe I start the Mandela effect. We call it the Schwab effect.
I heard that he has myocarditis.
Is the second question really fast?
I'd like to thank the church for hosting this event. I'd like to thank them for also hosting the one previously on health last week. And good job for holding these things, particularly the health issue, because as you can tell, that's an important issue to me. So Scott mentioned that medical industry is part of all this G5 or it's part of this. Can any of you tell me more about how health and health care fits into that? Or maybe another time.
Essentially, what we have here, failure to communicate, but there's a corporatocracy that ultimately is kind of what's running things. And all these institutions are morally bankrupt, corrupted, sold their souls, whatever we want to call it. There's a weaponization of health, right? I used to say a weaponization of public health. A weaponization of health that went all the way back to 1973 and Henry Kissinger when he decided to write a paper that was classified that came out that then the Cairo Accords then said there's only enough room for 500 million people in the world. Right? So then that went on to some Georgia Guidestones. Somebody blew it up, got it. But what they did was the eugenics program just kind of took off. That with abortion and that with all these other things and sterilization, all which are blasphemous to God, right? Yep. All this stuff is going on. And in the meantime, we've got legislators who are, if you look at Frederic Bastiat after the French Revolution, talks about the legal plunder of Americans, okay, of their citizens, of French, but now that's what's going on here. Legal plunder, but it's also a plunder through our morals and our ethics, okay? So in medicine, what took place was a placing of the HHS, Health and Human Services, underneath the Department of the Defense Health Agency that took place a few years before COVID was a thing. So then you see Warp Speed come along and you see all these things that were pretty terrible where it's been planned way before COVID was a thing, right? David Martin, you look at him, 70 patents and all that. So absolutely, weaponization, you're correct. And I hope there's no other questions on that.
And that concludes all the questions for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Give yourself a round of applause and to the panel. We'd like to stay all night and answer questions, but there's just not enough time.
So a couple of things. This is, we're getting ready to go into Memorial Day weekend. It's just a big deal. So, for all the veterans and everybody in this country, Memorial Day weekend was begun as actually it was a celebration week or celebration weekend, and it was created after the Civil War to recognize the deaths, the sacrifices of the Union soldiers. And then as we are as a nation, and as people thought about it, they were like, we were trying to bring the country back together. Right. So then they said, well, we'll recognize the sacrifices of all these. soldiers that died during the Civil War. And of course, as people started to think about it, we've had sacrifices going all the way back to the Revolutionary War. So it evolved over time. And that's what Memorial Day weekend is about. I mean, every day we should be thinking about those who are serving overseas and potentially sacrificing their lives. There's people in here that have come up to me already tonight, their son is overseas, or they're getting ready to go in, or they just joined, or they're serving in some capacity. And so we can't forget those who serve, and we certainly can never forget those who have sacrificed and given, like Lincoln said, the last true measure of devotion in cause of a nation. And so that's kind of, that's where we are. That's what Memorial Day weekend is about. And that's to a degree why I wanted to be able to be here. A very good friend of mine who was here earlier tonight, who served with me for almost 30 years. And he had to run out of here because he's going to take care of a friend of his who's a first responder. And I hate to even tell you this, but this is the reality of life. They have they're one of the daughters, they just found her dead in a hotel here not too far from here. And I tell you that because we lose sight of reality in this country.
Yes. That's right.
And that's why and Scott was brilliant to bring it out, an emotional moment about, when we think about, how fleeting life is. Pete knows this from serving on the battlefield. He just talked a little bit about it a little while ago. And those that have served in combat, that have seen, the guys that are with me, that have seen combat and seen somebody get killed, bleed out, right? Or you put somebody into a metal casket, as on a ramp ceremony, and you're like, you're thinking to yourself, Jesus, I was just drinking coffee with them this morning. I mean, it's like, don't take a day for granted. Don't take life for granted. You go back to wherever you are, and the ones that are right here that you love. Give each other a big hug. Don't leave angry, kind of thing, right? I mean, God, if there was somebody that could be angry, it's me. And I'm not. I'm not because I'm determined. I'm absolutely determined. And we need that. We need that across the board in our country. And let me deal with the things I have to deal with. And to the woman that asked that question, let me try to control what I can control, but you all do what you can do, right? I always tell people that the destiny of this country is going to be determined based on what each of you decides to do tomorrow. Not what you've decided, not what you did in the past, but what you decide to do tomorrow. That's how the destiny of this country will be figured out, will be determined. So, don't forget that. What we like to do, I got a couple of little things I want to present. Pastor, you can just hold them books for me for a second. We have these great bats, and on this Memorial Day, I had a buddy of mine who he's a cop, first responder, and like cops do, they never make enough money, so they always got to have a second job. Well, his happens to be woodworking, and he designed baseball bats. Been doing this for a long time for high schools, and he did such a good job with some of his players who were hitting over 300 a season, and he got the contract with the Anaheim Angels. So this bat is made by the guy that makes all the bats for the Anaheim Angels, whether that matters to you or not. And it says here, on this Memorial Day, remember the fallen, honor their service and sacrifice, and rejoice in your freedom.
Hallelujah.
And sign. So Pete, this is for you. I just want to present that to you, brother, for everything that you've done in this country. Thank you so much. And Pastor, I got one for you to maybe you hang it up out there in front, and if people that don't show up or people that try to leave on time, right? And so this is for you and for opening up your heart and your home in this beautiful church. And give this guy a great, and amazing. And these three books here, Boone Cutler and I wrote these. They're the Citizen's Guide to Fifth Generation Warfare. The first one is Introduction to 5GW. The second one is the How to Fight Artificial Intelligence. And the third one, which we just really published right prior to this tour starting, is called The Role of the Church. And they're really powerful. They're really, really powerful, and they're worth taking a read through. and again, reflecting on who we are. And I just want to say thank you very much. If we could just do one more thing, if I could get you all to stand, and I'd like to do a prayer out as we go. And Pastor, I'm going to ask you to pray us out of here as we continue on this journey, on this tour to wake up America, and for our safety, but for this country, and just quiet time, right?
Eternal God, we thank you for just being God, for being Lord of all creation. We thank you that you chose to create us for such a time as this. And we choose not to fail you in this season. God, I thank you that right now, every person in this room under the sound of my voice is being empowered to do exceedingly abundantly above all that they could ask or think. That they are ready to go into the enemy's camp and take authority because you gave us dominion over the land. God, I thank you that we are going to walk in our authority. We're going to walk in our dominion. We're going to take America back to you. We're going to take America back to its knees, back to its origins, and we declare that America belongs to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And we will stand firm in that conviction, and we will fight for an America that is one nation under God without reservation until you call us home. We ask these things in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus, who is our Messiah. And all God's people said amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the General Flynn, the tour, and the movie crew, God bless you, good night, and drive safe.
I got him. Go ahead.
Anyway, we're going to head out of here now. This has been awesome. It was from the park, and I'm sorry you missed that. I am really sorry that you missed that. I could tell that you really needed this prayer more than that was here. Thank you guys. Thank you for being here with us. Joe, this little puppy. Thanks, Lee. Hey guys, love you. I appreciate you.
All right, thank you. What do you got? I appreciate it.
Awesome job, guys.
Which one's y'all have seen? You got a card? We're school officers, man. We don't, because we're old.
That's his excuse.
We're on our downhill slide to retirement. Yeah, but I think I started in October of 97, so what, December?
Thank you for your work. Thank you. My son's a deputy in Fort Worth.
We're going to get along with that. Well, and everybody likes to look at that as who's president and all that. The president doesn't have anything to do with that. It's your district attorney and your chief of police.
It's we the people standing up against them. That's it.
The sheriff is
Supposed to. My son's a deputy. Be careful.
Right. Here's the thing. Yes, sir. The sheriff does nothing over here.
What county are you? What county is it right here? What county is this right here? You don't think they do? You don't think
there are only 25,000 residents of Tarrant County that are served by the sheriff's office for patrol and investigative purposes. Her son's a sheriff. Okay, everything else is incorporated and handled by cities. Yes. So I don't foresee that changing. What the sheriff does is they patrol the unincorporated parts, and the main thing the sheriff does is run the county jail. Do you know the only one that can arrest the sheriff?
Coroner. And that's kind of like, that's
and they work for us.
Y'all work for the mayor?
I can arrest a sheriff.
You kidding?
If I catch a sheriff out here driving drunk, I can put the sheriff in jail.
But yeah.
I don't have to call a coroner to arrest a sheriff.
Yeah. But anyway, that is the law. I've read it. Okay, we've got to go.
We appreciate it. Definitely.
Thank you, guys. Okay.
There.
Hi, Wyoming.
Hi, Wyoming.
Did you get to hear any of this? I'm telling you all, spread the word. Let's get out.
Yeah.
Get to see that Flynn movie.
I'm going to tell you.
It's bestseller right now on Amazon too. But you can go to their website. So anyway, I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. Isn't this beautiful out here tonight?
Yeah, it's a little warm.
Yeah. But it's got a breeze. We're in Bedford, Texas right now.
Yeah.
And we're heading to Boyd, Texas.
Yeah.
Love you guys. I'm going to say goodnight. Good night. We will. Thank you. Love you guys. Everybody have a blessed night. Go see the Flynn movie.